Morning, everyone. Morning, Bryanston Country Club.
Hello.
Morning,
Morning.
Shah.
Good
morning.
Morning.
Morning,
Guys,
morning.
before we start, just maybe a couple of housekeeping issues. So I've posted the registration link in the chat box. If I can ask that all of you complete that registration link. If you don't complete it, we will not know that you attended this webinar and we can't reward you accordingly. So you'll also see that that link can take multiple participants or people that attend, so everybody can fill in the same link if there's more than one person in front of a screen. Then I also want to ask guys, can we switch on our cameras? It's always so much easier for the facilitator to chat to people when they can see people in front of them. So if I can please ask if we can switch on our cameras. Margaret, I can't see you.
Okay, so the facilitator is going to throw you a curved ball today. You can see my pretty face on screen there. And so a massive storm took my fiber cable out on Friday night, and I am awaiting restoration of my fiber cable. So I'm running on 3G. So it will be lovely to put your cameras on to say hello to everybody, but then I'm going to actually ask that we put the cameras off because I'm just worried that the signal is going to be a little bit dodgy and you can't see the PowerPoint slide. So
Okay.
Charles said yesterday in the meeting, he said, "Are you in your pajamas? Is that why you won't put your camera on?" So
Okay,
no,
thanks, Margaret. We'll let you. You're allowed not to have your camera on, but yeah, if we can see the rest of you guys, it will be absolutely great. Guys, then without any further ado, let me introduce Margaret. I've been working with Margaret for many years in various different roles, in various different capacities at various different companies. Margaret is a specialist. She's a strategic management consultant. She's got her own consulting business, consulting for corporates, the hospitality industry. And yeah, it's always a great pleasure welcoming you, Margaret. Looking forward to what you're going to share with us today.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Charles. Yes, and as Charles said, that we've journeyed together for many years, with Charles as well, through different roles and companies. So it's been wonderful, and it's always wonderful to be part of the CMASA family, which I can call myself part of the family now because I've journeyed with CMASA for many years as well. So thank you, Charles, for inviting me back to you and your team. There are quite a few names that I do know, and I feel quite daunted because I've got 2 screens of people today, and from yesterday I always say to Charles, how many people? And Charles said, well, it could be as many as 70, you know. So I think it's absolutely amazing. Thank you to all of the clubs that have signed up and for allowing your staff to come. I can see Bryanston, you've got a huge delegation there, Melon. How many people have you got joining us today? Hello, Bryanston. How are you? That's wonderful. Well done. And which other clubs have we got represented? I'm not going to go around and ask everybody to introduce themselves individually because that will just take us the 2 hours. So what other clubs have we got? I see we've got Charles Kutsia. Do you want to say good morning to us, Charles? And your club?
Oh, there we go. Hello, Margaret. Hello, Charles. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Charles. And where are you from, Charles, for the other people in the room?
Durbanville Golf Club.
Good, great. And who else have we got in the room? Darren, I see you. Hello, Darren, where are you from?
I'm also from Bryanston. I'm just manning the phone in the golf office, so I wasn't able to join the team.
Shame, you didn't get an invite into the boardroom. There. And who else?
It's cold there, Darren.
Looks freezing. Although I think in the boardroom they've got an aircon on, they look nice and cozy. Who else have we got joining us today? We're not going to go in any order. Let us hear.
Got Ezekiel from Run Park Club.
Hello, Ezekiel. Welcome.
Thank
you so much. Who else have we got? Which other club?
2 more. sorry, two more from Stan City. I'm here also.
Fantastic. Yes, yes. Okay.
Awesome.
What
We got JC from Rondebosch Golf Club.
Awesome. Awesome. Is it?
I do
is-
apologize that I'm lying in bed. I'm actually been booked off sick. I've got a very, very bad flu on me.
Oh, no, that's not cool. I hope you get better.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been raining terribly there in Cape Town. Oh, let's see. And I see that we've got Kailami, we've got George, we've got Ramsey. Hello, Ramsey. We've got Centurion, we've got Paul, then Vista. I think we've got almost every golf club in the country, except those in Kabeja where I live. Shaw, we need to work on these guys down here. Terence, where are you from?
Hi guys, nice to see you all from Paul Golf Club here in the Western Cape.
Oh, yes. Okay, I was wondering that beautiful background. Where are you from?
Showing
Okay.
the floods.
The floods, yes. Okay, folks. And so without further ado, I think we need to get into the business of today. And the business of today is conflict management. So you're most welcome to turn off your cameras because that will just, I'm just very worried on my side that the visuals are not going to come through smoothly if we've got too much showing. So just give me 2 seconds. And I just need to move that a bit. Okay, you should all be seeing that quite beautifully. Can everybody see conflict management? Everybody see that? Oh dear. You want to turn your mic off as well there?
I can, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Charles, I did email the handout to you. Have you received it?
We did receive it. We'll send it out to all the delegates after the webinar.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Okay, so today we're dealing with, when I was thinking about it yesterday, you know, when we went through the whole COVID pandemic 2 years, we spoke about the dreadful C word. Well, today we're dealing with the dreadful C word again, but in a different context. And we're going to deal with conflict management or conflict resolution. Doesn't matter what you call it, it's dealing with conflict. Okay, so what we are wanting to strive towards is to move away from this kind of conflict where you see these two are bashing themselves or each other over the head with books, to the conflict on the right, which is let's shake hands, let's agree, let's move forward. Okay, so without further jabbering, let's talk about what is conflict. If we had to define conflict. So conflict can be defined as a state of disagreement. So when two or more parties even, cannot agree on something. So they are opposed or they are struggling over something. So conflict is when parties are not in agreement, okay? And the parties have a different way of seeing the particular problem, okay? So conflict is when two or more parties are not in agreement, where they are opposing one another. They are not on the same page, if we can put it in nice terms. Conflict is a natural and inevitable part of human interaction. Now, if you like me, I don't like conflict. I avoid conflict. I really do not enjoy conflict. And that's part of my personality. So I'm continually trying to avoid conflict, which is also not healthy because conflict is natural, it's inevitable, and it's part of human interaction. So what a person like me needs to learn to deal with is how to deal with conflict, how to turn what I perceive as negative into a positive. And I'm sure many of you out there share my view as well. I hate conflict in any sense. So conflict can arise due to differences in opinions, needs, expectations, perceptions, or resources. Okay, so conflict happens when there is a difference. So when there is an expectation and it's not being met, when there's a perception of how something is going to be and it's not being met, or when we are running low on resources. So think about your own situations in the club as well. When we are running low on stock, or we may be running low on change in the bar, or we've run out of pies at the halfway house, that's a lack of resources and conflict happens. Then we have the guys at the halfway house saying, oh, these food and beverage guys, they never know how to plan properly. They're so stupid. They're so useless. Then the food and beverage guys hear this and they go, these guys have got no clue what we go through. There we go. Lack of resources. It leads to conflict. Conflict can be negative and positive. Believe it or not, conflict has got negative and positive elements to it. Conflict resolution techniques do vary depending on the context and the severity of the conflict. So conflict can be resolved. The techniques differ and the approaches differ depending on the severity and the context of conflict. Conflict is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon. Now those are lots of big words. We're too early in the morning. So conflict is not easy. And there are many parts to conflict. So multifaceted means there's many parts. You know, we always learn when you were younger, or you may have young children, when we talk about the truth, there's always my side, your side, and the real truth. So conflict also has many sides to it. The way I perceive it, the way the other person perceives it, and what really happened. Okay, so conflict is a complex and multifaceted phenomena that is inherent to human interactions. Okay, conflict is going to occur. How conflicts are understood, managed, and resolved plays a significant role in shaping the outcome and relationships of the parties involved. Okay, so how we approach the conflict is going to determine how it ends up, how we move forward. Okay, so I've said we've got negative conflict and we've got positive conflict, believe it or not. So negative conflict refers to a situation where the disagreement or struggle between parties leads to a detrimental outcome. So I don't need to explain that too much. A detrimental outcome being not such a favorable outcome. So when there's negative conflict and the conflict is not approached correctly, it can lead to the breakdown of relationships. It can lead to losing customers. It can lead to disciplinary hearings in the workplace, so detrimental outcomes. Whereas positive conflict, also known as constructive conflict, refers to a situation where the disagreement or struggle between the parties results in beneficial outcomes. So it's beneficial for all. It's a win-win situation. It involves open communication, respect, focus on finding solutions or understanding different perspectives. Okay, so when we approach conflict in a positive manner and we sit down and we say, right, this is how I'm seeing the problem. This is how you are seeing the problem. This is what the problem was. How do we bridge that gap? Okay, how do we join with the way I see it, the way you see it, and how it really is? How do we build that bridge? That's how we create positive conflict. But if we don't build that bridge, that's when there's negative conflict. Because everybody's just going to land in the river or land in the pothole. Okay. So, negative conflict includes destructive communication. So, have a look at this young lass. She's saying, meeting time. Now, if somebody calls you to a meeting like that, I'm sure immediately, if you're not awake, you will be awake shortly, you're going to be grumpy. When somebody comes and walks into the office and goes, it's meeting time, you're all late for the meeting. I'm sure that's going to get your backs riled up. Escalation. So negative conflict includes escalation. So escalation means when the conflict spirals out of control. Okay, it can be something simple, but because we haven't approached the conflict in a constructive manner, it has spiraled out of control. Lack of resolution means that when there's no solution, when we don't actively seek a solution to the problem. Conflict is negative when it damages relationships. Think in your own worlds, in your own lives, in your own work environments, where conflict has caused the breakdown of relationships. Think of in your own world, somebody that you possibly don't speak to anymore because of conflict, or people that you know of that don't speak to each other because of unresolved conflict. Okay? That then leads to toxic environments. Now, I'm sure I don't have to explain what a toxic environment is to you. So, and toxic environment is when work is not a happy place, when home is not a happy place, when you go to work in the morning and you think, this place is sick. I hate this place. Everybody is on edge. Everybody's got their backs up. I can't relax. That's what a toxic environment is. So negative conflict leads to toxic environments. Are you all still out there without cameras on? I can't see you, but tell me that you're all out there still.
We are.
Oh, good. I did a quick sip of my gin and
we all
tonic.
here.
Good. Thanks, guys. I can see you all there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good, good, good. Let me just put my chat box off. Cool. Let's talk about positive conflict. So positive conflict is where there's constructive communication. So let's use a scenario from the clubs. So in your club, you've got your pro shop and you have your course. And you are booking a golf day. And the pro shop handling the bookings, the tee sheet, is doing all sorts of weird and wonderful and crazy things in line with what the client is looking for. The guys on the course are throwing the toys out because they're not going to have finished preparing the course by the time these people want to tee off. So now there's conflict. So how are we going to resolve this conflict? We're going to sit down and we are going to have constructive communication, aren't we? We're going to say, okay, guys, this is the need of the client. How are we going to meet the client's need? So that means active problem solving. Okay? Not fighting against each other, saying, you know, the pro shop, they don't quite understand how things happen on the course. And the course is going, and the pro shop is saying, well, we don't care because this is what the client wants. That's going to lead to a big fat boxing match and an unhappy client. Rather sit down and discuss, how is it possible? How can we make it? How can we make this happen? And out of that comes growth and learning for everybody. So when we approach conflict in a positive manner, we all learn. And we all learn how to deal with difficult situations, how to resolve difficult situations, and how to strengthen relationships moving forward. So it is important to note that conflict can shift between negative and positive, depending on how the conflict is managed. So I've put that in green because that's really critical. We can turn a potentially damaging situation into a learning curve just through how we approach it. With effective conflict resolution strategies and commitment to constructive communication, negative conflict gets transformed to positive, leading to productive outcomes and stronger relationships. Okay, so when there's a conflict between two parties, as humans, we are often wanting to go into battle. Okay? We want to go into battle, but that's not the way we're going to solve it. The way we're going to solve conflict is to go back to the drawing board and to apply these 4 things to turn that negative conflict into positive conflict. So what are the causes of conflict? The conflict can be caused through many things. And here you can see this poor computer has exploded, blown up. It's had too much to deal with. And that's how we feel sometimes, too much to deal with. So one of the biggest causes of conflict is miscommunication or no communication. Okay? Miscommunication. We're not on the same page. Differences in goals or interests. So my end goal that I want to achieve and your end goal that you want to achieve are potentially different. So we are not heading on the same road together. I'm heading off to Cape Town and you're heading off to Durban. And we can't understand why things aren't working because we're going in different directions. Okay, so we need to make sure we are all on the same page, pulling in the same direction. Another great cause of conflict is scarce resources. Like the example I used earlier, we've run out of pies at the halfway house. Or the internet is down, like I've got right now. Or we've run out of castle lights in the bar. That causes conflict because then the blame game starts. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Instead of going, guys, how are we going to proactively solve this? And a few months ago, I was on site at one of your clubs and they had run out of draft beer. So what did the GM do? He didn't go, you didn't order enough. You didn't plan properly. He phoned a Tommy down the road for the restaurant and said, listen, I'm in a pickle. I need to borrow a few kegs of draft. No problem. Come and fetch. We've got extras. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. Power struggles is a great source of conflict. Power struggles. Everybody wanting to be the boss. Everybody wanting to be the manager. Everybody wanting to shine for the boss and make others look bad. No one is going to win if we do that. As a team, we pull together. We pull together. So think of oxen pulling an ox wagon. There are generally 6 to 8 oxen pulling an ox wagon. And if one of the oxen in the middle decides it's going to go in a different direction, that whole ox wagon is not going to go too far and it's going to hinder the progress. So as a team, we have different strengths and different diversities. And we need to use those strengths and diversities in our team together to pull together. Because power struggles is what kills a team and a business. Differences in beliefs or values. So we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different homes. We come from different religions. But we have to learn to tolerate other beliefs, other religions, other viewpoints, we have to tolerate and respect that this is your viewpoint. This is your belief. I respect them for being your beliefs. So we need to learn that we are in a diverse world. And differences in values and beliefs can cause major conflict. We need to learn to understand and to respect one another's values and beliefs. Don't have to change your beliefs, but respect another person's viewpoint and another person's belief. Personalities and interpersonal dynamics. So we are all different. We are all very different. So you will find that your golf manager is normally a very loud, bubbly, happy, on the go, very busy person. And your accounts people are quiet, methodical. One thing happens after the other. Now the golf manager or golf director bounces into the accounts department. His paperwork is far from in order. And he hands his stuff over to the accounts lady who wants to wring his neck because his stuff is such a chamosh. We are all different. Our personalities are different. So we need to learn to understand that different personalities behave in a different way. And imagine if we were all the same, how boring life would be. So understand in one another your differences and help one another to understand, okay, you bouncy, you outgoing, you hardly structured and organized. With me, the accounts lady, I like my stuff to be in order. So let's meet each other halfway. Let's agree on how we are going to work with each other. Okay. So another cause of conflict is organizational structure and policies. So in any business, there is policies, there's procedure, there is structure that we have to adhere to. Because if we didn't have policies and procedures and structure, there would be chaos in the business, wouldn't there? So yes, I know it's a pain. I know it's a pain to have to sometimes follow policy and procedure, but that is what keeps your club in good governance and things working properly. And I know it's sometimes a pain in your organizational structure to have to follow the hierarchy. Why couldn't I just go straight to the GM with something? No, because we have a structure that line management needs to know about whatever. And should you feel you want to take whatever it is to the GM with line management, then respect that line management wants to know because it impacts on their jobs as well. Okay, so we need to respect the hierarchical structures in our clubs. Causes of conflict are also historical or societal factors. So we live in a very diverse country where there is a lot of history. There is a lot of diversity in society, and that can cause conflict. And this is where I go back to the point of respecting one another and respecting where one another are coming from. A great cause of conflict is change or uncertainty. None of us like change. So when things are changing, we're all feeling very vulnerable, very uncertain, and that's when conflict creeps in. So again, go back to this positive, constructive communication, problem solving, growth and learnings, strengthening relationships. Go back to those things. External factors can also cause conflict. For example, load shedding that many of us are struggling with around the country right now. I know the clubs are quite affected by this. rain. Cape Town has had an inordinate amount of rain at the moment. We've got a facilitator working on site at Rondebosch at the moment, and she sent me a picture last week. This is not Rondebosch Golf Club, it's Rondebosch Yacht Club. So that is something that is totally beyond our control, the fact that you've had so much rain, and courses are getting flooded, you're having to cancel golf, etc., etc. We have to face those challenges with a positive mindset. So understanding the underlying causes of conflict is crucial in effectively addressing and resolving them. Cool. Everybody still out there? You there?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we are.
So while we take a logical break, are there any questions at this point? I know it's a bit difficult because the group is so big, but if there are one or two questions, I'm happy to take those. You can even type them in the chat box if you'd like to. Any questions about anything I've said so far? Is it making sense? Am I talking nonsense? Everybody chup still. So clearly I'm not talking nonsense if you all chup still. Okay, so how do we prevent conflict? Now remember, conflict is part of life. We don't want to run away from conflict, but how can we prevent conflict from happening? So preventing conflict is an essential goal in promoting positive relationships and maintaining harmony in various contexts. So we want to minimize conflict because sometimes conflict is very unnecessary. So here are just a few points of how you can prevent or minimize conflict. So number one, the golden thread, the golden rule of everything is communication. Okay? Effective communication goes a long way. Oh, thanks, Roxanne. Really amazing. Thank you. Effective communication goes such a long way. Think about your own personal situation with your partner, your children. When there is not clear communication, things break down, things go wrong. Okay. Establishing clear expectations and guidelines. Okay. So when we set off on a journey as a family, we sit down and we say, where would we like to go on holiday? I want to go to Durban. I want to go to Cape Town. I want to go to London. Okay, so let's all decide where we're going to go and let's establish the expectations and the guidelines. No, we can't go to London because that's a little bit too expensive. We can't go to Cape Town or Durban, but we can go to Knysna because it's closer and it doesn't cost so much. Okay, everybody's on the same page. We need to promote collaboration and teamwork. So if you've done the first two things, if you're all on the same page, people are going to buy into your team. People do not play nicely in a team if they don't know what a game plan is, the game plan is. So I'm quite sure that some of you play sport. I know you play golf, but some of you may play soccer or you may play other team sports. You guys that play soccer, there's always a game plan before you run onto that field. We know what we're going to do. We've watched our opposition play. We know what our game plan is to beat the opposition. If we don't have that game plan when we run onto the field, then things aren't going to work so well, are they? So we need to have a game plan, and there needs to be teamwork. We also need to have active conflict resolution training in the workplace. So let's just think about the types of conflict that you folks are going to face in your environment. And let's start in the bars. So we know when there is alcohol and when there is lots of alcohol, things tend to go a bit south. So how do we, as staff that work in the bars, deal with that conflict when two or more patrons in the bar have drunk too much jungle juice and they want to pick a fight with one another or pick a fight with the barman? Do we in the workplace have conflict resolution training to say, guys, this is how we're going to deal with this kind of conflict? All right? So conflict resolution training needs to happen for everybody, not just those attending the webinar today, for everybody. And we need to promote a culture of respect and inclusion. I've spoken about respect a lot and inclusion. We need to respect one another's viewpoints. We need to include everybody when we are putting together that game plan, when we're deciding how we're going to go forward, how we're going to do things. Because if you include everybody, you've got their buy-in immediately. Okay. We need to encourage proactive problem solving. So let's not be reactive. Let's not wait until we've poured our last draft beer and then, oh, oops, now we're out of stock. Let's rather proactively problem solve so that when we start our last cask, we go, whoops, now we've got a problem. We need to get some more. We've got so many draft rounds in this cask. We need to get more stock very quickly. Okay? Be proactive in your thinking. We need to build positive relationships, because through positive relationships with one another and with our clients and with our suppliers, problem solving is easy. But if your relationship with your clients and your suppliers is strained, it's not good. People are going to look for the gap. They're going to look for the gap to cause conflict. Okay, so we want to build positive relationships and we need to address any underlying issues. So if there is tension between two parties, if there are issues that are unresolved, they need to be addressed. Because you are never going to be able to move forward in a positive way if there's constantly underlying issues. Sometimes conflict needs mediation or conflict management process. So if two parties are unable to resolve conflict on their own, one often needs the help of a neutral party, a mediator, to help the parties to navigate their way through the conflict. Okay, so a mediator is a neutral person, and the neutral person doesn't have bias. They don't pick sides, but they listen to both sides of the story and help both parties to understand and to see the other side. Preventing conflict needs continuous evaluation and improvement. So continuously looking at how did we handle that? Were we able to turn that conflict into a learning lesson? Were we able to resolve that conflict positively without it turning messy, without it turning dirty? So by implementing preventative measures, individuals, organizations, and societies can create an environment that minimizes conflict and promotes healthy, constructive relationships. So we want to promote healthy and constructive relationships by minimizing conflict through preventative measures. So I'm going to stop there for a little leg stretch because you folks have now been sitting for 45 minutes. And I'm quite sure that you are not used to sitting for so long and that you all need a little bit of a leg stretch. Am I right? Yes?
We can do a 5-minute break, Margaret.
5-minute break. So let's just do a 5-minute quick break and then we will come back. Cool.
Perfect.
Thank you. If there are any questions, just pop them in the chat box so long.